SEC football fans, let's go, man. Another wild week in the Southeastern Conference is in the books. Oklahoma with a big comeback win in Jordan Stadium. The Auburn Tigers collapse again. Alabama and Georgia. Absolute classic in T-Town, man. Absolute classic. Two giants going at it. What a great ball game. Kentucky stuns Ole Miss. LSU shuts down South Alabama. Another close, tight game in Arlington. The Razorbacks can't find a way. Aggies come out with a big time win. We got a lot to get into, man. Before we do, please smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. You see my Twitter right there. Follow me at DMcShide28. Let's go. Let's start off with some of the games that were a little bit less dramatic, and then we'll work our way into the nail biters. Let's start off with LSU South Alabama. Hey, I'll admit it. I was wrong on this one. I was wrong. I thought LSU would win, and I thought LSU would win by multiple scores, but I saw that 22-point spread. It got down to like 21 and a half right before kickoff, and I said to put your money on the Jacks. That offense had been explosive, and LSU's defense still had been kind of sketchy, especially in the secondary. I thought this was a recipe for like a 56 to 42 type win for LSU or something like that, 45 to 35, somewhere in that ballpark. It was never in doubt. LSU gets up early, puts the clamps down on them. Taking a look at some of the team stats for the Tigers, 667 total yards, 430 yards through the air, 237 on the ground. The Tigers averaged 9.7 yards per play. 29 first downs. They had 6 for 9 on third down. Pretty efficient right there. 63 total plays. Only punted twice. 4 penalties for 40 yards. Nussmeier did throw 2 picks. And let's get over there to the player stats. Just a second. Where's the player stats? We have Nussmeier, like I said, threw 2 interceptions. He did, however, have 4 touchdowns. And 2 touchdowns. So Nussmeier was 26 for 39, 409 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Ricky Collins came in and mop-up duty, was 3 for 3, 21 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. I think the important thing of the day is LSU comes out of here knowing that they have found a guy at running back. Freshman Caden Durham, man, 7 carries, 128 yards, averaged 18.3 yards a carry with a tutty. And then through the air, Caden had 3 receptions, 89 yards, and another tutty, 29.7 yards per reception. So the freshman just going off of the LSU Tigers. They absolutely have found something at the running back position. They have been waiting a long time to see. So, they should be very, very excited about that. I know that LSU fans are. Handled business, not a big time win for LSU or anything like that, but I do think it's impressive to hold. Let's go real and take a look at South Alabama's stats. South Alabama had only 221 passing yards, only 112 rushing yards, and 5.3 yards per play. So they were 4 for 14 on third down and 1 for 3 on fourth down. Punted the ball 6 times. So, I really thought that South Alabama was going to be able to pass for more than 221 yards on them, and it just didn't happen. And then the 4 for 14 on third down, and then LSU being 6 for 9 on third down. That's kind of the story of the game. You can see why the score got so lopsided right there. So, big dub for the LSU Tigers. Big game coming up next week. Let's see how they do. On to another one that was kind of a snooze fest. Texas versus Mississippi State. The Texas Longhorns get their first win as an SEC program at home versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs. It was a little tight at half, 14-6 at half. But Texas comes out in the second half, closes the deal. This is kind of one of those where they just suffocated. They had 7 points in the first, 7 points in the second, 7 points in the third, and then a strong fourth quarter with 14 points there to kind of just pull away as the game went on. Looking at their statistics, 522 total yards for Texas compared to 294 for Mississippi State. So really just dominated the game in that aspect. 324 passing yards, 198 rushing yards. I mean, hey, you got to love the balance there, right? 2 yards away from 200 yards on the ground, and then well over 300 through the air, average 8.4 yards a play. 5 for 9 on third down, 62 total plays, only punted the ball twice, 8 penalties for 65 yards. That's not the best in the world. Did fumble the ball twice as well. Mississippi State had 144 yards through the air, 150 on the ground, 8 for 17 on third down, which is actually not that bad. 1 for 3 on fourth down. And then looking at some of the players' stats for Texas, Arch Manning with a solid efficient day, 26 for 31, 324 through the air, 2 tutties. Quintravion Wincher, I believe that's how you say his name, 13 carries, 88 yards, 6.8 yards a carry. Jaden Blue added 6 carries for 36 yards. Arch Manning, 6 carries for 33 yards, 5.5 a carry and a touchdown there. Isaiah Bond with a rushing touchdown, 1 carry for 26 yards and a touchdown there as well. Receiving wise, DeAndre Moore, 4 receptions, 103 yards, 25.8 a reception with 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Bond added 5 receptions for 74 yards through the air, 14.8 yards of reception. Looking over at the Bulldogs side of things, quarterback Michael Van Buren Jr., 12 for 23, 144 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Johnny Daniels on the ground, 15 carries, 59 yards for 5 yards a carry. And Devon Booth, 18 carries for 59 yards, only 3.3 yards a carry. Quarterback there with 12 carries, negative 14 yards, so took some sacks. It's just a rough go of it right now for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. It's a rough go. They're sitting at 1-4. I don't think it's going to get any easier for them as the season goes on. They put up a fight. They played hard. I watched, started watching the second half of this game after seeing that the first half was so tight, and it just looked like death. It just as the game went on, Texas, like I said, they just kind of suffocated them, kind of wore them down, and just too much for the Bulldogs there. So solid win for Texas, first win as an SEC program. Congrats to the Longhorns. Big matchup next week. I believe next week Texas takes on the Oklahoma Sooners. So yes they do. Well, they have a bye week. And then they take on the Oklahoma Sooners October 12th at 2:30 there at the fairgrounds. So that shall be a fun one. All right, let's get into some of these games that were a little wild. Some of these games that got a little bit crazy, man. First off, let's take a look at the Kentucky Wildcats. Stunning. The Ole Miss Rebels and Lane Kiffin in Oxford. Man. My initial thoughts watching this game was Mark Stoops had a game plan, didn't he? Mark Stoops had a fantastic game plan. He came in really, especially in that first half, you could tell Kentucky, they were running the quarterback. They were switching quarterbacks out. They were running both of those guys. Just a whole lot of quarterback run, grinding the clock. They really controlled the time of possession. Mark Stoops knew this is an explosive, Lane Kiffin-led Ole Miss offense. I've got to keep the ball out of their hands, and that's exactly what he did. Looking at the rushing, you have Demian Somo. I'm not even going to try to say my man's last name. 11 carries for 43 yards. Gavin Wimsatt, 9 carries for 26 yards. Brock Vandergrift, 7 carries, 3 yards. Some sacks there, definitely skewed numbers, but they ran the quarterbacks. A whole lot. Passing, Brock Vandergrift, solid day, man. 18-28, 243 with a touchdown. No interceptions, protected the football. That's kind of what stood out to me was Mark Stoops clearly preached all week to his guys. We're going to shorten the clock. We're going to protect the football. We're not going to make mistakes, and we're going to try to come out of here with the dub. And that is exactly what happened for Ole Miss. And then on the Ole Miss side, Jackson Dart, 18 for 27, 261 with a touchdown. Henry Parrish, 13 carries for 62 yards, 4.8 yards a carry, and a touchdown there. I think that really time of possession is going to tell the game here. This is the stat that tells you everything you need to know. Kentucky, 39 minutes, 43 seconds with the football. Ole Miss, 20 minutes, 17 seconds with the football. Ole Miss turned the ball over one time with a fumble. Kentucky did not turn the ball over any. And then third down efficiency, Ole Miss 1 for 10, man. 1 for 10. They did go 2 for 2 on fourth down, but Kentucky was 3 for 3 on fourth down. So it kind of negates that, right? 75 total plays to only 56 for Ole Miss. So Kentucky, again, just dominating time of possession, dominating that clock. It felt like a basketball game. It felt like a basketball game where you can see a guy like Buzz over there at Texas A&M. He does this a lot, or a guy like Bruce Pearl over at Auburn. Nate Oates does this in a way, but in an opposite way. Nate Oates will speed a game up, and you'll end up playing Alabama's game. Buzz over at A&M and Bruce, they'll slow a game down, and you end up playing a sloppy defensive type game. That's the way it felt to me. A little basketball reference from my Kentucky Wildcat fans out there. Y'all slow the pace. You slow the pace of the game down. You control the ball. You control. You made Ole Miss play Kentucky's game, and by the time it got to late in the fourth quarter, you can kind of feel the pressure rising, and you can kind of feel the belief on Ole Miss's side, and you could feel the belief starting to pop up over there on the Wildcat side. I just thought that they showed a lot of heart. I thought that they showed a lot of fight. They showed a lot of grit. They look like they believe in their head coach, man, and that's one thing that I see in college football a lot. Is you can tell when a team is bought in. You can tell when a team believes in their head coach, believes in the system, believes in a game plan. And if you practice something all week, and then you preach it all week, and then you get into the game and you're late in the game and you see what your coach has been telling you all week, if you see it starting to play out that way, it really can do a lot of good for the psyche of a team. And I think that's what happened. I think that Mark Stoops had a game plan. I think that it worked. I think his players saw it working, and they started to believe in it. And Kentucky made the clutch plays when Ole Miss didn't. So tough loss for Ole Miss and the Rebels. You played a pretty weak non-conference schedule. You get in here to a conference game at home that you feel like you should win, and if you don't, you drop it. And it's just high expectations in Oxford. This was supposed to be the year. This is supposed to be a win. So now Ole Miss, you're gonna have to look at that game versus Georgia, and you're probably gonna have to turn that into a win. And it for Ole Miss's playoff hopes, they're really kind of on thin ice now. Can't make too many more mistakes. Tough loss for Lane Kiffin. Huge win though for the Kentucky Wildcats. You lost by 1 point a couple weeks ago to Georgia in a game that you felt like you should have won. You come out and get this one. So props to Kentucky, man. Advanced to 4-1 on the season. Playing some good football. 3-2. Kentucky's 3-2. But playing some good football, could easily be 4-1. That's what I mean. And so they still got a whole lot of football ahead of them. Big win. 3-2 feels a whole lot better than 2-3, right? So shout out to the Wildcats. Solid performance there in Oxford. Let's see if they can keep the momentum. See if they can keep this momentum going. Now, on to one of the crazier games of the day. The Auburn Tigers, Oklahoma, comes into Jordan-Hare Stadium. Their first ever road trip as an SEC opponent. Auburn is winning 21-10 in the fourth quarter, and they Auburn the hell out of it. You remember there used to be a phrase called Clemsoning? Well, Auburn has one. It's called Jabba. Auburn fans say it often. It's just Auburn being Auburn. And the Auburn Jabba the absolute hell out of this. Now, full credit to the Oklahoma Sooners. Fantastic win. True freshman quarterback staying in there, making the plays that he needs to make. Oklahoma gets a ball thrown right to their linebacker with about 4 minutes to go. The old Peyton Thorne special. But they make the play. They catch the interception. They take it to the house. And they find a way to win the game. Auburn finds a way to lose it. Up until that interception, Peyton Thorne, 21 of 32, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then that crucial pick, Jarquez Hunter with 17 carries, 97 yards for Auburn. The true freshman for Oklahoma, Michael Hawkins, 10 for 15, 161 yards. And then he added 14 carries for 69 yards. He had a touchdown. It was a nice touchdown run on Oklahoma's first drive of the game. The team stats do not tell the story. Auburn, 482 total yards to Oklahoma's 291. Passing-wise, Auburn, 338 to Oklahoma's 161. 144 rushing to Oklahoma's 130. 26 first downs to Oklahoma's 11. Held the Oklahoma offense to 2 of 11 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down. 70 75 total plays for the Auburn Tigers compared to Oklahoma's 47 total plays. Oklahoma committed 10 penalties. Auburn only committed 7. Auburn with that one crucial turnover. Oklahoma protected the football, did not commit any turnover. Big shout out to the Sooners there for protecting the ball on the road in a tough SEC environment. And then time of possession, Auburn 35-26 to 24-34. So in no way, when you look at those stats, do you think that Auburn would have lost the game. But if you've been listening to me over, the Auburn fans know at the Uptempo podcast, I predicted months ago, that Auburn would lose this game in this fashion. My thinking was that Auburn was going to be 4-0. I did not think Auburn was going to blow games to Cal versus into Arkansas. But my thinking was Auburn was going to be 4-0. It's a big-time game, and Auburn's not ready to handle big-time games and big-time moments, and Auburn would find a way to lose or just not make the clutch play when they had to make it. It still ended up being a big game for Auburn, but it was a must-win. Auburn had to win this if they wanted to save their season. And up 21-10 with 11 minutes to go, and Auburn completely falls apart. I got some notes here. Justin Ferguson over at the Auburn Observer, he tweeted out some stats. He has some very interesting stats that he always tweets out. After Jarquez runner had a 22-yard run with 11 minutes and some change to go in the game. Put Auburn inside the 35-yard line, looking like Auburn was about to score again. At that moment, up 11, driving the football, Auburn had a 96.5 win probability. 96.5. Auburn averaged 10.65 yards per pass attempt. That's the most Auburn has allowed, or the most Oklahoma has allowed, since the 2022 Pop-Tart Bowl. Auburn has not beaten a power conference opponent that finished with a winning record since Ole Miss in 2025 or in 2021, Auburn has not beaten a power conference opponent, a P4 opponent, that finished with a winning record. So Auburn hasn't beat a winning team from a Power 4 conference since Ole Miss in 2021. That was 35 months ago. Auburn is now 2-6 in their last 8 games. 5 of those 6 losses have come at home. You have a 21-point blowout to New Mexico State, and then the other 4 of those losses have been by a combined 26 points. You look at the Cal game this year, Auburn loses by 1 possession, and again, they lose the turnover margin by 5. Look at the Arkansas game, a game that Auburn dominates from start to finish and loses by 10 points. 10 points! Because they can't stop turning the ball over. They turn the ball over again 5 times versus Arkansas. Yesterday, Auburn protects the football. Auburn has a quarterback throw for over 300 yards on a great defense, and Auburn still finds a way to lose. It's hard to argue, and we'll get into the Bama-Georgia in a second, but when you watch Alabama play, you just feel like Alabama's going to make the big play. The Ryan Williams crazy catch, perfect example. When you watch Auburn play, you just know the shoe is going to drop. You can go back and look at my Twitter. And look at the time. Auburn's winning the game by 11, and I tweet out, Auburn's going to blow this game. You can set your clock to Auburn football mistakes. A lot of questions coming out about Hugh Freeze after this game. There was a possession at the end of the first half where Auburn has 1 timeout left. They're well within field goal range. They call the timeout on a 3rd down with 19 seconds to go in the middle of the field. Then they run a passing play to the side of the field. Lambert Smith does not get out of bounds, the Auburn wide receiver. So you have to run a fire drill. You're running the kicker on as the time is running down. He gets on the field with about 7 seconds to go, rushes the kick, he misses it. You get lucky, and Oklahoma has an illegal substitution. That illegal substitution leads Auburn to what was a 32-yard field goal to become a 27-yard field goal, and Auburn shanks that again. Auburn also had a possession in the first quarter where they drove all the way down to the 1-yard line and got stopped on 4 downs. Had a timeout went to a TV timeout, came back, and decided to run Wildcat with Sam Jackson, Cal transfer that is now playing wide receiver. He gets stuffed. Well, he did play quarterback at Cal. He gets stuffed on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. I was screaming, I don't give a damn if you're at the 1 yard line. If you're Auburn there, you should take the points because my thinking is Auburn is not good enough to give away free points. And Auburn gave away free points all day. You get late in the game, it's 4 minutes to go. Auburn is winning 21-16. Peyton Thorne with a big time interception to Oklahoma. Full credit to Oklahoma for making the play. And it's like I've been saying for a while now, Jordan Hare is a slump buster. Jordan Hare is where you come to get right. The freshman quarterback Hawkins makes a big play late in the game, a huge bomb to Oklahoma or for Oklahoma on Auburn defensive back Kayin Lee, who had been solid up until that point. And yeah, it's just one of the things where Auburn continues to find ways to lose the game. I believe it was Javon Hester, the receiver, that made that big time reception for Oklahoma. So, I don't want to sound like we're not giving credit to Oklahoma here. We definitely are. You went on the road. You made the plays that you had to make. The freshman quarterback with a huge fourth quarter. It's never easy to lead a comeback on the road in the SEC. He made the plays. The 2-point conversion was just incredible. They get the pick six to go up by a point, and then they go up by to go up, and then they go for the field goal. Excuse me. They go for the 2-point conversion to go up by a field goal, and Hawkins jumps into the end zone, gets flipped, somersaults into the end zone, and lands past the pylon, showing heart, showing grit, showing determination. They call it Sooner magic, and that's exactly what it is. Oklahoma was able to pull it out. A huge win for the Sooners after the disappointing loss to Tennessee the week before. This gets Oklahoma to 4-1. They still have a lot of football left ahead of them, but 4-1 is a lot different than 3-2. So a big win for the Sooners. SEC, first ever SEC win, and they do it in the founding member stadium to come and do it. SEC was founded in 1932. Auburn was a part of that. Oklahoma said, we don't really give a damn. Came in there down double digits in the fourth quarter, make the plays, find a way to get into the end zone and win the ball game. So congratulations to the Oklahoma Sooners. Tons of questions on the plains of Auburn. It's starting to feel like year 2 of the Hugh Freeze regime. It's kind of hard to argue that Auburn is going down the wrong path. It's kind of hard to argue that Auburn's not going down the wrong path at this point, right? It just Auburn should be 5-0. Auburn should be 5-0. They easily could have won all 3 of the games they lost. You can make an argument that they should have. Again, with 10 minutes to go, Auburn with a 96.5 win probability. But before the last play of the Iron Bowl last year, Auburn had a 95% win percentage, a chance to win that game as well, and they somehow give up a long 4th and goal from the 31 touchdown Hail Mary pass to the Alabama Crimson Tide. So Auburn just finds ways to lose games, whether it be not able to run the clock out, not able to protect the football. Auburn's led the country in turnovers all year. They only have 1 in this game. It's a pick 6 with 4 minutes to go when you're up by 6. Unbelievable stuff if you're an Auburn fan, but you're starting to get used to it. If you're an Auburn fan, you're starting to get used to it. I have baked it into my predictions for Auburn. Every week I predict Auburn to lose, and I predict them to lose in spectacular fashion because when somebody shows you what they are, it's time to believe them. And the Auburn Tigers are a bad football team with a losing culture that doesn't know how to win games. On the flip side, Oklahoma, they know how to win games. If they're in a tight ball game, Oklahoma fans can at least rest easy and feel like they have a chance to pull the game out. So, true freshman quarterback. If I'm an Oklahoma Sooner fan, I'm definitely excited. What does this do for Hawkins? You got to feel like it's a big confidence boost, right? So, let's see how they go forward. Big matchup with Texas on the horizon. Let's see what the Sooners got. Big win. Big time win for Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners. All right, we make our way to Arlington. The Texas A&M Aggies take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. And a lot of the emotions that you just heard from me as an Auburn fan, I'm hearing similar stuff from the Arkansas Razorbacks. They had the big win at Auburn last week, but like I said, Jordan Stadium's a slump buster. You come to Auburn, you get you a dub. It doesn't really tell you a whole lot. It's one of the easier places to win in the entire conference right now, outside of Vanderbilt. You come to Auburn, you're going to win. So Arkansas comes to Auburn, gets a win last week. Big matchup coming up with A&M. And I picked Arkansas to win. I picked Arkansas to win a close game. I thought that they were just going to find a way to pull this one out. I think that Texas A&M is just still kind of building, or that's what I was, where my mind was looking at this game. And the Aggies come in and pull one out that you feel like Arkansas should have won. I say that looking at the total stats. Arkansas, 379 yards to A&M's 297. Taylor Green, 279 passing yards to A&M's 163. A&M did rush for more yards. They had 134 to Arkansas's 100. Arkansas with more first downs. Arkansas 5 of 15 on third down. A&M was 4 for 13. Arkansas 2 of 3 on fourth down. 71 plays to A&M's 60 plays. 10 penalties for 75 yards. Boy, that'll get you. And then here's the story of the game. Fumbles lost, 3. Interceptions thrown, 1. On the A&M side, fumbles lost, 0. Interceptions thrown, 0. Say it again, fumbles lost, 2. Arkansas. Fumbles lost, A&M, 0. Interceptions, 1. Arkansas. Interceptions thrown, A&M, 0. 3 turnovers to 0 in a game that you lose by 4 if you're the Arkansas Razorbacks. You turn the ball over 3 times, and you commit 10 penalties for 75 yards. I feel for you, Arkansas fans. I feel your frustration and feeling like this was a game that you should have had. And this is the knock on Sam Pittman. I saw a lot of people on Arkansas Twitter yesterday just saying, I'm tired. I'm tired of Arkansas should have won these games, and they find a way to lose. Could you imagine if Arkansas was 4-1? And if we take a look at Arkansas's 2 losses, Oklahoma State and A&M, man, you could easily make the case Arkansas should be 5-0. Easily make that case. And you could say, well, you win some close games and you lose some. Okay, well, then you say you split them. Arkansas should be 4-1. But instead they're 3-2 because they can't stop committing stupid penalties. And they cannot stop turning the football over. Now, on the flip side, when I say this kind of stuff, I don't ever want to sound like I'm not giving credit to the other team. Because I don't poo-poo turnovers. If you turn the ball over 3 times and the other team doesn't turn the ball over any, it's credit to the other team. Full credit to the Aggies for not turning the ball over, for protecting the football, for being smart, for just hanging around and waiting for the mistakes to be made. Arkansas with 14 points in the first quarter. They score 3. They score 3 the rest of the entire game. 0 points in the second, 0 points in the third, and a measly field goal in the fourth. Bad, bro. It's bad. And I'm pissed off for Razorback fans. Looking at some of the player stats, Taylor Green, 23 for 41, 279, a touchdown and an interception. The running game was not able to get going today for the Razorbacks. Jaquindon Jackson, 10 carries, 37 yards and a touchdown. Devin Bale, 2 carries for 10 yards. Taylor Green, 13 carries for 6 yards, obviously skewed by the sacks. But I felt like the Aggies did a good job of containing him and not letting him get out in space and make a whole lot of plays. On the flip side for A&M, Marcel Reed, only 11 for 22 with 163 yards. But here's the kicker. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Crazy how that works. Crazy how that works. Protecting the football wins games. Le'Veon Moss, 13 carries, 117 yards, 9 yards a carry. Young man had a great day on the ground. Really helped the Aggies come out with the dub. So, look, Mike Elko, 4-1. 4-1. Good start. Good start out there for the Texas A&M Aggies. All that matters, man, is finding a way to get these dubs. And Texas A&M is doing that. So, full credit to them. Connor Whitman going down. You have to plug in the young kid and Marcel Reed, but he's making the plays. Another solid performance by the A&M defense. They've been solid all year. A lot of talent over there, right? A lot of talent at College Station. No one's ever questioned the talent in College Station. They're learning how to win these close ball games. Full credit to Mike Elko and his staff. We got to get this game out of Arlington, Texas, and back on a home and home. 2 great college towns in Fayetteville and College Station. Hopefully, we won't have this game in Arlington too much longer. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this and how it could be moving out. So hopefully that's the case. Another classic ball game. Every time these teams meet up, it ends up being a great game. But unfortunately for the Razorback fans, the Aggies again pull it out. Tough break for Sam Pittman. Tough break for the Arkansas Razorbacks. This is a game that they should have had. And again, that 4-1 feels a whole lot different than the 3-2 that they've got going on right now. Blown opportunity for Sam Pittman, and I'm disappointed for him, and I'm disappointed for the Razorback fans out there. All right, game, but full credit to the Aggies. Game of the night. We knew it was going to be a classic. You just had a feeling every time these teams meet up, and my goodness, they did not disappoint. Alabama 41, Georgia 34, and Alabama 30-7 lead at the half. The Georgia Bulldogs said, hold up, wait a minute. You're not going to count us out. Carson Beck comes out in the second half and is absolutely on fire. At one point, Georgia takes the lead late in the fourth quarter, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be Kalen DeBoer's first moment where he finds out about this SEC fan base. This isn't going to be a good one. But as they continue to do time and time and time again, it's a winning culture in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The Tide know how to win ball games. 21 points in the first quarter for Alabama, 0 for Georgia. 9 points in the second for Alabama, 7 for Georgia. 30-7 lead at the half. Georgia with 8 points in the third to Bama's 3. Georgia with 19 points in the fourth quarter, but Bama with the 8 they needed. Bama with the 8 they needed, baby. They were down. They got down 34-33 after a bomb from Carson Beck. And they respond right back. The episode we did earlier in the week was looking at the most impressive players and coaches so far. Ryan Williams was our most impressive player. 6 receptions, 177 yards, but I don't even give a damn about him going for almost 200. I want to talk about the one play in particular. The tip drill, finding a way to catch it, finding a way to turn it into a big explosive play after you reel it in. Ryan Williams is the most impressive freshman in college football right now. And yes, the numbers pop off the screen, and yes, the ability pops off the screen. I'm looking at the clutchness, man. A tight ball game versus South Florida. Who makes the play to blow the game open again? Ryan freaking Williams. Tight ball game yesterday. Alabama has to make a play. Who makes the play? Ryan Williams. Jalen Milroe, 27 for 33, 324, a touchdown to an interception. Jalen Milroe adds 16 carries, 117 yards on the ground, 2 more touchdowns. Puts on an absolute show. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if him and his wide receiver are in New York. Right now, I would have Ryan Williams and Jalen Milroe in my top 5 finalists for the Heisman Trophy. I'm really high on the Tennessee Volunteers, but I'm really high on the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is going to be their matchup here in a couple weeks. Is going to be a showdown of 2 absolute powerhouses. Alabama just knows how to win games. You know, when I said I knew Auburn was going to win it, I tweeted out Alabama's going to find a way, or I said Auburn's going to find a way to lose. I tweeted out Alabama's going to find a way to win. They always do, man. They always do. Kalen DeBoer, Nick Saban, Ryan Williams is brand new. It just doesn't matter. Change the names, change the faces, change the actors. The movie ends the same. It's about culture. It's about a culture of winning. Alabama just knows how to do it. They believe they're going to do it, and they do it. Against all odds, against a fantastic team in Georgia. Look, Alabama's going to get all the praise here today because of the big win. Georgia down 30-7 at half. They're like, we're not this bad of a team. They said, no, we're not going to have y'all leaving here thinking that we suck. And the way that Georgia fought back, in the grand scheme of the playoff hunt, this doesn't really hurt them. It hurts them in the sense that it's a loss. And, you have it on your resume now, so it shortens your margin for error. But If Georgia goes out and handles business for other teams that we think they'll handle business against and beat the teams they should beat, they're fine. You lost a close game that you battled your ass off in on the road versus a really good team. The one possession ball game. Instant classic. Two fantastic head coaches, two fantastic programs full of fantastic players that just two winning cultures. I mean, Georgia showing all the heart in the world to fight back. Carson Beck really, really had a second half. But the 3 interceptions is the story for Carson. 493 yards, 27 for 50, but 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. You just can't have it. Trevor Etienne, 12 carries for 55 yards. And I know that Georgia got down, so they kind of had to throw their way back into it. But you would like to see Trevor have more carries than 12, and then Arian Smith with 6 receptions, 132 yards, and a touchdown as well. So yeah, I mean, again, Georgia got down; they kind of had to throw it. 547 yards for Bama to 519 for Georgia, 439 passing for Georgia, 374 for Alabama. 173 rushing yards to the 80 for Georgia. So Alabama definitely controlled the game there. And then when we look at the turnovers, it's 4 to 1. So again, that's so crazy. We go through all these close games, and the teams that turn the ball over the most lost. Man, that is just wild. Football works that way. 4 turnovers. You lost a fumble and you threw 3 interceptions. Bama threw 1 interception. So if you're Georgia, you lose a ball game by 1 possession on the road, or you turn the ball over 3 more times than the other team. You dug yourself into a big hole early, and then you try to get out of it, but too big of a hole. Too big of a hole, right? And even though you took the lead, still, it's just Bama's in that position now to where they just got to make one play, and you've had to fight back, and it's just such a tough position. That's the hard thing. It's like even when you're down huge, like Georgia was, and you come back. Okay, now you've come back. You spent all that energy coming back. Oh, now you still got to make the plays to finish it, and they're still a really good team. So Georgia just too big of a hole, too many mistakes, too many turnovers. Alabama comes out with the victory because that's what the Alabama Crimson Tide tend to do, man. So wild, wild week of SEC football. Congratulations to everybody that won. And what did we learn today? What's our theme to everybody that lost? Quit committing stupid penalties. Stop turning the ball over. Stop it. 3 one-possession games in the league, all decided by turnovers. You can't do it, it'll lose you ball games. I'm Dustin Smith. Follow me on Twitter at DMcShaw28. Smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. We are just getting started here at the Just a Sec Pod. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.